Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division in the second anniversary tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Let's go! We play from the second tee always when it comes to Pro and Expert. And we're going to start off by trying to go over the bunker there in the center. Always over adjust your drive with 10% on this one. You can see I'm pushing myself up into maximum range of my club. And then I take my shot. The thing to have in mind here is, with any form of tailwind, we can try to make this shot. Doesn't need to be an Apocalypse level 5. It can be an extra mile, it can be a Thor's hammer, but not a quarterback, if we say like that. And like in best case scenario, we're going to bounce directly over, land on the fairway and stay there. Or we're going, going to bounce over the sand into the rough and roll out on the fairway and have a short iron or a wedge to the pin. That shot is of course very much easier than playing on the right side that we otherwise have to do. Then for the second shot, in this case we do have a rough iron, and that's also almost going to be easier than playing with a long iron from distance. Also, check down in the video description down below for direct timestamps to the holes in this playthrough. Also, patreon.com/golfclashtommy if you do want to have a training session one-on-one with me, or you maybe want to sign up to get the text guides early, or just get the updated text guides to help you improve your game in general, also your tournament play. So, second shot here, we do take the rough iron, and you can see here, this is a very short rough iron, and something that we, like, if we hit it perfect, we're definitely going to be close. And very important here, try to not use the fringe, but in the end, we don't have enough backspin to not. You can see on the ball guy here as well, it's kind of bright and very hard to estimate it properly. So, this was hole number 1 in this playthrough, and we're gonna go to hole number 2. So, there we go to hole number 2 in this playthrough, and here I'm going to play with my sniper. Very important here that we do over adjust our shot for 10%. Why is that, you may ask? It's because we are playing this one downhill. Our opponent playing with the big dog, and of course that is because our opponent most likely did forget to change clubs or just came in with that one in a shootout. The thing that we want to do is that we rather want to go long than we want to go short. Why? It's because the back of the green, you let the ball fall back down towards the pin, as you can see here. Not that we're going to have enough speed for it to fall in the hole, but at least to get it close. We always play on the left side, as the left side is better in terms of consistency with the bounce. And in this example, I play with 3 bars of backspin, but I would say that 2 bars of backspin is going to be way enough in headwind. So in headwind, 2 bars of backspin. In crosswind, 3.5 bar of backspin. With tailwind, we go with 4.5-5 bars of backspin, so we can get the ball to stop. We're going to, as I said, over adjust 10% and going to play this one as we would be in around minimum till medium distance of our club here. And then we go with the ball just outside the adjustment ring there to the right in curl. So you can see we're gonna come into the pin and we're going to be very close, but as you will notice, we need a little bit more less backspin. Looking for a chance to get it in the hole. Max side spin left, and then we're going to go with 1 bar of backspin on this par 5. Try to bounce before the bunker, getting it over the bunker. The thing that I do here now is that I'm stretching my my landing position out, or my target out when I'm having tailwind. I stretch it out here so I can see where the second bounce is going to land. So I see that the second bounce is going to land after the bunker. Then from this position, I'm going to adjust my rings, or in whatever way that I'm doing adjusting. And then we're going to add half a ball of curl outside to the left of the adjustment ring, and then we're going to be done. That is going to give yourself a very nice one, getting up there close, not endangering the rough on the top, not endangering the rough on the sides, and we have an open shot towards the pin. Finally, with the drive, you need to make an over adjustment of 10%. If we could play right side, but you can see how much obstacles, if we would picture ourselves playing there to the top right, then we need to go with a massive amount of curl to be able to get the ball up to the green or even close to the green. So if we're not getting a massive headwind in our face, like an 8, 9, 10 miles per hour headwind, then we're going to play left every single time, even if we might have to slightly overpower our shot to the left with some various type of wind. We don't know what wind we're going to have in the tournament yet, so therefore I want to at least that we think about it in different ways. Getting into the rough, of course, will make it absolutely impossible to reach for the green into, even with the tailwind that we're having here. Second shot, in tailwind, we can play with a sniper, which gives us like more control in terms of ball guide and accuracy. But I do like to safe with a big dog or with a cataclysm to give myself that distance, so I don't have to if I am a little bit short with my drive, if I can say it like that, then the big dog is going to help big time, instead of just having the sniper in that case, where we might go with topspin or even have to go with overpower. So we hit it perfect, coming in very, very nicely here. Looks like we're going right, but this bounce is going to push us a little bit to the left, and we're getting it very, very close. Then we go to hole number 4, par 3 of the Parc, the Paris. And this one is a very, what can I say? I would say this one is the toughest par 3 that would you have in this tournament, if I'm not remember it incorrectly. And the reason, and I do think that, is because the inconsistency in the bounce that we're going to get. It's very hard to get the ball to bounce in the exact same way that we do want. As for, the ball is going to have a natural push to the left. And with a wind like this, crosswind / headwind to the left, we're going to be pushed to the left, and therefore often miss to the left. So we need to over adjust it big time there. First and foremost, tee shot. Over adjusted with 10%. Very, very important. And then we're going to go with backspin, and we're going to go with side spin here as well. You can see I'm using, in this case, 5.5 side spin, and I'm also going to use 5.5 side spin, or 4.5 to 5.5 side spin on the right. You can see my second bounce is just at the pin, and I like that. That's no problem. But the problem that we're getting it here is that I'm over adjusting it too much, and I'm using too much of side spin to the right. And we always adjust the shot for being in the position where it's at with an over adjustment of 10%. Very important to have that said again, so we're not making a mistake there. I'm using a tiny bit of curl to the right, and in this scenario here, I would actually want to stay away from the curl, as the curl is the thing that pushes us too much to the right. So now we go to hole number 5, and let's hope that we do have some tailwind on this one, because with a crosswind or a headwind, this one it will become a very, very tough par 5. With tailwind, then we should be pulling out the ball that gives us the most distance, which is going to be a berserker or a snow globe or a turbo ball or something like that. I hope you do have a berserker or two from the golden shot that you might have been playing, so you can use them, because if we do have tailwind, it's like having to bounce before the first piece of rough is going to have the same type of difficulty as we would be having crosswind and headwind as of tailwind. But in tailwind, we do have the option to go full blast overpower to try to go as far as possible. And with a power 5 and a berserker ball, for an example, that's going to eliminate the risk of not reaching for the green in 2, even if we do get it in the rough. So you can see me here going for a full blast overpower drive. Very important to have that said. And I do have an Apocalypse level 5, but I would be playing this way with an X Mile 7, with the X Mile 6, Thor's Hammer level 4, level 5, and just try to get over to the fairway. And if I bounce into the rough, I bounce into the rough. If I do stay before the rough, I stay before the rough. If I do roll over to the other fairway through the rough, then that is going to, of course, be the absolute best thing for us. But overall, getting it to that piece of rough, there is no problem for us to reach for the green into with some tailwind. Now I talked a lot about tailwind with the advantages of tailwind, but if we do get crosswind or we do get headwind, we need to bounce it over the rough in the beginning, and then we need to make an over adjustment of 25%. That's a lot, but that is because the wind is affecting the ball a lot as well. We're going to always go with as much topspin we have combined with as much side spin to the left that we possibly can, and try to hit that narrow fairway that we do aim for, and get it to roll as far as possible, so we then have a wood club shot towards the pin, and then we pick the wood club that we always pick the wood club, I would say, that gives us the most distance, which will be the big dog or the cataclysm in many of the cases. Now, just getting it to green, even though it's not going to be close, it's nice to secure the eagle here, and it's going to be very, very few albatrosses here, and of course more eagles, but also more birdies than it will be albatrosses. So let's go to hole number 6, and here you're going to see two versions of hole number 6. And one version is that when we do have some slight tailwind, we can actually try to bounce over there on the left. We could try to do that on the right side as well if we want to, but in this case we're going to play on the left. If we don't feel comfortable with that, then we can play and just lay up short on the left, or we lay up short on the right. Always over adjust this shot with 10%. Very important, as for the ball is affected more by the wind. You can see here as well, this is an old recording, therefore it's the old version of curl. So therefore the view wasn't changed as it is with a new piece of curl. And the reason for that is that the Porthello Cove is not available from the second tee in the regular tour play until the tournament has started. So our opponent here is going to try to do the same, and with an XMI level 8, of course, have a lower amount of curl to play with. Then we also need to go with lower amount of topspin and just try to land it on the fairway. So of course, with an Apocalypse, there's a big advantage in terms of curl, or we will have to go with a slice shot and try to get it close to the green in that way. And you can see I play with Apocalypse of 6, and I want to be very, very clear with that Apocalypse of 6 is, in my opinion, too good of a club and to play with in expert. And but this shot that I made is definitely possible with Apocalypse level 3, 4, 5 if we want to as well. Unfortunately for the opponent, it bounced into the rough and then over into the sand, and be very, very cautious about the fact that we are going to we are going to get some problems if we, in that case, trying to go as close there, get it into the water in this short par 4 is going to be very, very tough. Very, very tough. So, okay, going to ship it in from the rough here. Tough rough iron shot, but we get it in the hole. And now we're going to go to an approach on this one when we do have some headwind. As I do really want to show that, like, there's two ways to show here when we come to the headwind approach, is that we do have 10 miles per hour in headwind. Our opponent has an Apocalypse level 3, and even with an Apocalypse level 5, level 6, it's going to be very, very tough to get it over to the other piece of fairway. And if we do that, we're not going to have enough curl most of the times to be able to get the ball to stay on the fairway, and we're going to roll up into the rough. But we do endangering so much by doing so, so I would highly recommend to stay away from that and go with a safe approach and just lay up on the fairway on the left or on the right side that we are going to do here, or I'm going to do here. So I'm going to lay up on the right, and again, having an Apocalypse level 6 is too good of a club to play in expert, in my opinion. Should be playing in expert, in master, but lack of recording makes this tough. So we're going to go with max backspin here, and I would say max backspin is going to be applied even with like having a 2 bars of backspin. The only difference is that you will have to aim for the lower part of the fairway instead. Bounce it on the fairway, getting it to bounce up. And from this angle here, we do have an open shot towards the pin, and a shot that I do like. The problem with it is that there is a bit of a bumpy fairway just before the green, but it's definitely a possible shot to make from distance. Opponent going to, of course, do his best with a sandwich shot here. It's going to be very tough, even though it's a great shot, or it would be a perfect shot. It would be very, very tough to get this one in here. That's like, it's so important to get our ball to either, of course, close to the green in the rough. That's okay, but if we're so far away, then we need to make sure that we get to the fairway, so we do not, like, we have 3 par 4s. We do need to give ourselves an opportunity on every par 4. Otherwise, we're going to lose compared to our opponents. As our opponent, we need to at least think about it in that way, that our opponent is going to get an opportunity on the par 4s. So aiming straight at the pin, using some side spin combined with backspin to backspin, of course, is backspin. Side spin to the left is what I mean. And then we adjust, and I like to adjust this one a little bit more than normal. So I over adjust this shot around 10%. Get in the hole. And then we're going to go with hole number 7, par 3. And very important here to over adjust your shot with 15%. You can see here with tailwind, it is possible to play on the spot that I'm aiming for now. But with headwind and crosswind, we either have to change to our driver, or we have to lower our landing position and play on the fairway before. The reason this one is as suggested is that it kind of works, even though it gets an inconsistent bounce. But I would really like to play this one from the fairway below. But again, as for the other Porthello Cove, it's not possible to play the Porthello Cove in the regular tour play. Therefore, have to go with an older recording. And of course, we have built a lot more knowledge since these recordings came out when the Porthello Cove was first released in the app. Not a bad shot, and I will take that. I will take a safe birdie, but I do believe that the opportunity and the likeliness of getting a hole-in-one increases by going on the fairway a little bit down below on the left. Not the 2 smaller parts in the middle and on the right, but on the left there, a little bit bigger part to bounce there towards the pin. That position is where I'm most likely going to play with any type of wind, and might going to change if I'm having some strong tailwind, as we're most likely otherwise going to be in between clubs with our wood club, in between the long iron and the wood club as well. So we'll see what wind we're going to have in the tournament. I think it's a very interesting hole, but the key and the importance here, over adjust your shot with 15%. That's very, very important. So our opponent coming in here, laying here on the fringe, no problem to chip it in, a very short one there, and we go to hole number 8. Hole number 8, par 4, last par 4, one of the Eagle Peaks. And Eagle Peak is also a course that we have been playing for not that long ago. And here we need to have in mind that we do need to make an over adjustment of 20%, which means that a 10 mile per hour tailwind is 12 miles per hour tailwind instead. Or like in headwind or in crosswind, doesn't matter what angle we have, but it's going to be a stronger wind, and therefore it's going to be, of course, harder to adjust for it. Our opponent makes a very nice drive. I don't know if that was meant to be, but finding a very lovely roll there on the fairway, take that hill, fall down to the left. I'm going to play this one for the rough bump, and I'm doing most of the things right with this, except for 2 things. I'm going to come to that as well. First, I'm playing with Kingmaker to reduce the wind as much as possible, combined with using as much side spin and top spin as I can. The side spin is, in my book, a little bit more crucial than the top spin, as we can move our target further ahead if we want to, and therefore the max top spin is not 100% necessary, especially with a very with a lower headwind. But the thing that I do want to do is that I do want to have my first bounce on the fairway, second bounce on in the rough, and then roll out. 2 things I make a mistake. Of course, the logical thing is that I do hit it great. The second part is that I do need to go with some curl to the left. Not just to compensate for the risk of hitting the ball great to the right, but also that we do need to get a more natural push to the left from our bounce there, so we're not having the trees in our way. Very important, because now we basically destroy an opportunity to go for the pin, as we're going to have some tree in our way and we're going to have to curl around it. Not going to be a problem to go for the green, as the green is very very big, and it's also have a big downhill slope in the back, and the ball is going to, if coming hot, is going to fall back down. We're going to have a very easy birdie. So no problem though. But as I said again on the last par 4 when we played the Porthello Cove, always make sure that we do have a second shot where we can approach the pin without having any like sand, rough, or any obstacles completely in our way. If we would be having tailwind on this one, I would say that the rough bump is not the approach to go with. Then we go straight forward and go on the right side as far as possible. There was players that was succeeding making a hook shot bouncing on this island that we are going to bounce for now with their driver directly onto the green. That was unfortunately though very inconsistent and had to be, it worked for some, it didn't work for some. Let's leave it at that. And that's the same for hook and slide shot. There is no way in my book at least that the hook or slide shot is always going to be a consistent way, as there is a lot more knowledge to be found on that one. Now we do aim up and we go with curl. I'm just trying to get this wall to green, but as I said again, the curl with our drive is the key on this one, and therefore we are not going to of course be that close to hole number 8 to make that eagle. Last but not least, we're going to play with hole number 9, Eagle Peak, par 5. And here, first and foremost, with this type of wind where we do have some tailwind and also tailwind, maybe some tailwind, tailwind and crosswind is what I'm thinking about, or just straight crosswind, then we're going to play left side. If we do have headwind, we are not. Then we're going to have to play on the right side. Very important here though is to over adjust our shot with 20%. Because the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. You can see already here how much downhill this one is going to be. I'm not going overpower here as I'm going for the double bounce. The double bounce means I'm bounced 1 time, 2 times, and then over the rough, just hitting the rough there, but no problem as I'm still going over to the fairway, and then it doesn't really matter if we're going to go short or not. So our opponent is going to try to go for the right side, and with a quarterback level 9, it's, yeah, we can't do anything else. So then we need to play on the right side. And I can't stress that enough to really suggest that if you do have headwind, we need to play on the right side. Because if we get stuck in the rough or in the sand by trying to go over with max overpower or something like that, then we're going to not be able to reach for the green in 2. Also, if we do have the wind that we are having, you can see that I didn't play with overpower. I could go with max overpower and gamble with the fact that I'm going to bounce 1 time, 2nd time in the rough, and then roll out as we did now. But, you know, it's each for their own what they do think is going to be best. Now, we do have headwind. We're going to have to go with some slight overpower. Of course, the sniper's ball guideline is going to be good here, but maybe need to play with a little bit longer wood club if we do getting the wind that we're having here. So, and then we take our shot, and we're not going to use any type of elevation adjustment, we're just going to play it as it is here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this playthrough for the Pro and Expert division in the 2nd anniversary tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Check down in the video description down below for direct timestamps and link to the other videos, but also to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Good luck in the 2nd anniversary tournament.